You might have heard that the brand new Python Mark II is now available for early access. And if you've seen anything about the ship, it's pretty obvious what it's designed for. Now, I'm all for a bit of dogfighting, but it's definitely not my favourite part of the game. So, having grabbed the ship last week, I wondered, is it good at anything else? That's what we'll be finding out today. My first thought with a new combat ship is to make alternative use of all those hardpoints. Building the Mark II as a miner was a mixed bag. On the one hand, the numerous hardpoints and utility mounts were really freeing. They allowed me to fit the luxuries that I can't normally take, like chaff or a few multi-cannons. However, as you might have guessed, the internal space does leave a little to be desired. I threw together this loadout, which lets you gather 64 units of cargo, which isn't bad for core mining, but the build is a little lacking in collector limpets. Still, it'll work. I took her out to the nearest ring. The handling was good, as was the visibility, and the cargo space was less limiting than I thought, keeping me in the ring past the point of boredom. The lack of collectors did make gathering fragments a bit slower than normal though. Overall, the Mark II is a serviceable core miner, and I can certainly see someone using it just because they like flying the ship, and that's fair enough. Still, I think I'll be sticking with my crate for this, although if it had room for one more collector, it might be in the running. My second idea was to try piracy. After all, if it works for mining, it'll work for some second-hand trading, right? Kitting the Python out as a pillager of the seas was pretty simple. Again, the low number of collectors might prove an issue later, but it should be fine. Taking it out to my favourite Anarchy system, the first thing I notice is how awesome Supercruise Overcharge is for this. I know this isn't specific to the Python, but wow, the new drive is lovely for piracy. You can just zip over to any target you see, it is amazing. Aside from that, the Python did everything very well overall. The only issue I do have is, again, the lack of collectors. The bump stop method of piracy, that you can learn in this video, tends to benefit from having as many collectors as possible. The fewer collectors running, the slower the target needs to be drifting, so with a measly 3 active limpets, you'll need to be crawling if you want to suck all the diamonds out of a Type 7. Still, I really enjoy this ship as a pirate. I have no idea why, but it just feels right. I remember the FDL used to be a pretty good smuggler, and this is basically just a bigger FDL, so we'll see how it goes. Since there's fewer specific modules needed, like limpets and refineries, I managed to squeeze in 78 units of cargo capacity, as well as a lightweight Class 4 shield. The utility mounts and speed are perfect here as well, giving you plenty of room for emergency heat sinks. With the ship ready, I packed the hold full of Imperial slaves at a more low security facility, and headed to the nearest high-class station with a black market. I'm still fairly new to smuggling, so I took a rather belt and braces approach here, keeping my heat at near 0% while in silent running whilst speeding through the letterbox. But I mean, hey, it worked. I barely made any credits, but if you've done smuggling before, you know that that isn't the point. It's more the roleplay and the thrill, and the Python 2 certainly gives you those. Okay, so to sum it up, the Python Mark II is, born and bred, a combat ship. It has huge amounts of firepower and utility mounts, but lacks a little in the optional internal slots. Still, it can do a really good job at other careers by making alternative use of its combat attributes. Now, I personally don't think the Python Mark II is a new best ship in any of these disciplines, but it is perfectly capable, and more variety in this game is always good. So if you're not that far into combat, should you pick it up? I'd say it depends on A, if you think it looks good, because let's be honest, aesthetics always win, and B, how bored you are with the old options. I mean, if you're yet to fly a Crate, Imperial Clipper, or FDL, you won't get much more from the new Python. Personally, I'll be building the Mark II as a pirate. I normally pillage the seas in my cutter, but the new Python just has the right vibe, you know? Once again, thanks so much for watching. Hold on to your space legs and remember your limpets. Until next time, it's goodbye from Commander Dituri.